Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today for this fun art project. We are going to make an abstract dog, and if you look behind me, you can see the dog right on the wall behind me. That's one I've done in one of my Zoom classes. So we're going to create that project today. So what you need for this project is some drawing paper. And I recommend drawing paper, which is a little bit thicker than just like white printing paper, just because you're going to be using some oil pastels and marker on it. It'll work a little better. A pencil for drawing, eraser, some oil pastels, black marker. You can use a regular black marker. I like Sharpies, so I'm using a Sharpie, but you can use a regular black marker if you'd like. And then some toothpicks or other wooden sticks. I've got some bigger wooden sticks here, but you could use toothpicks too if you didn't have these. And I believe that's it. So before we get started, this dog could be considered abstract. Obviously, I've never seen a dog in real life that are those bright colors and patterns, and that's what abstract art is, using colors and patterns and shapes to create your art. So we are going to do that today. Now if we just used the bright colors and had a nice thick black outline around our whole dog, it could even be considered pop art. So if you want to do that and make it more an abstract or more pop art, you can just add a big thick line around your dog, tracing over all your pencil lines, and make it that. So we're going to get started. And so you want to have your paper in portrait direction on your table in front of you. And that's up and down, just like that. This is landscape direction, and this is portrait direction. Now I've done some samples just so you can see we can do the dog a little differently. It doesn't have to be exactly like in the project. You could do smooth lines like in the project. I did this example with smooth lines when I drew the dog. I also did one that has the ears sticking up, which I thought was really cute. Instead of the ears going down next to the dog, I just made them sticking up instead. And I also gave him some little bit of hair look around his face, and I thought he was really cute. And then I also did this one. Instead of using all those smooth lines, I used more angled lines there at the end, like little points at the end of my lines, to create the look of hair for my abstract dog, and I really liked him too. So just so you know, you can be creative and make a dog that looks like the dog you have maybe, or whatever dog you think is really cute, you can do that. But for today's project, I am going to make it like the one on the wall behind me, so I will be using the smooth lines to draw the dog. Oh, and also if you have some paper towel, we'll need that to help blend our oil pastels later. Forgot that. All right, so we're gonna get going. I recommend you draw with a pencil, and then you can erase the lines you don't like. So I'm going to do that, and I like to make myself some guidelines when I'm drawing. So what I'm going to do is just fold down my paper so the bottoms line up. Gently push on my paper. I'm not pressing it all the way to the table though, because I don't want a hard crease. I just want a very super light crease that will disappear later. As I draw, it'll flatten out. If you do a hard crease, that won't come out. That'll stay in your paper. So I have that guideline now. I just want to go a little bit above that guideline. And we're making our dog look like he's facing, like he's peeking his head up above the end of the paper. So some of the dog will disappear off the edge of the paper, and then his head is kind of tilted. So we're going to draw it to make it look like that. So if you just go to that middle line and go up just a little bit, we're going to make a curved line just like this for the top of his head. So we're just going to curve the line up just like that. And then we're going to make another curve. We're going to start where we started, that starting point there, and we're just going to make a big curved line and go off the end of our paper. That's for one of his ears. And then on the other side, we're going to make his other ear. So we're going to make a curved line that goes off the end of the paper over here like that. All right, and then we're going to come down. I'm going to go like straight down from that center of that first line I did, about right here. And I'm just going to draw a little line that I'll erase later, just kind of diagonal there. And I'm going to draw 2 circles. And this is how I'm going to draw his nose. So I can erase that little diagonal line I drew there. That just was helping me line up his nose because his head is tilted, so his nose needs to be tilted. So when you're drawing a dog's nose, I start with the circles where he's breathing, and then we're going to add to that. So we're going to start here at the bottom of one circle. Then we're going to go down a little bit, curve around, go way up above both circles, come down on the other side of the other one, and back around and up to the bottom of the other one. So we're connecting those 2 circles with one big curved line. And then we're going to draw the bottom of his nose with another curved line. So I'm going to start right there and just curve it down and come right back up here. And there you've created a dog's nose. Now every single dog that we draw, they all will have the same nose. Might be a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, but if you noticed on each of my examples, all the noses are the same on each of those dogs. All right, so now we're going to draw, there's usually a little split there on his nose, because that's going to be where his mouth comes down, and we're going to do that one later. So now we're going to start up here at the top where that first line we drew, and kind of just from our starting point, go up just a little bit, and I'll make a little dot there. I'm going to just make a curved line. This is going to be around where I make his, kind of the end of his snout come around. So I'm going to start a line straight down, curve it around his nose, come way down, curve around the other side of the other nose, come back up to the top of his head. Now, I am going to erase one line because I wasn't paying attention, and I'm just going to make it a little closer to his nose there. There we go. And that will take care of that. So you feel free to change a line if you don't like how a line looks. You can change it. That's what's awesome about art. All right, so then I'm going to start here at the underneath his nose where I made that little line, and I'm going to come down, and I'm just going to make one side of his mouth, and come down and make the other side of his mouth. And another curved line makes like where his tongue would be inside his mouth. This is like his chin. So it is a little bit different than the one example I have on the wall, as I used a different size paper, and so it fit on the paper just a little bit different, but that doesn't matter. If your dog was lower on your paper, that is okay. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. All right, so then we're going to come back up here near our starting point, come down just a little bit, and we're going to draw a curved line for his face, side of his face, and come right down to where that side of that snout was there. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Where we ended that line, his ears started, we're going to come down just a little bit and just make a curved line all the way down to his snout. And then we're going to make his neck. So we're just going to make a little line coming down here, and then the same thing on the other side. And then with his ear, his head's tilted, so his ear's probably hanging out there. So I'm going to make the other side of his ear just hanging out like that, going off the edge of the paper. All right. So then I'm going to make his eyes. So I'm going to come here next to this line I did on his face and just come out, and I'm going to make a curved line, kind of like a rainbow shape or an upside down smile. Same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to finish it off with a smile shape. That's going to be his eye. And then I'm just going to make his eye look like this. Makes him look like he's looking up at me. All right, you can add eyebrows if you want at this time. You could add them later when you're coloring. I might add just one, kind of a fun eyebrow. Now I made this dog with all smooth lines, but like I said, you could make yours with more pointed lines to create hair look on your dog. Okay, so now it's time to color in your dog with oil pastels. Unless you would like that sharp, heavy black line, you can trace all of your dog with a Sharpie marker or a thick black marker that you have and get that pop art look going for your dog. That's totally up to you. I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to color mine just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and get my oil pastels out. And I'm going to pick all kinds of fun colors here. I'm not going to make this look like a normal dog. Remember, he's abstract, so I'm going to just use some of my favorite colors to color him. Maybe some complementary colors. Those are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Or colors next to each other on the color wheel. So I am, let's see. So I'm going to use, I believe, red and green because those are opposite each other on the color wheel. And I'm going to go ahead and make some green circles inside. Actually, I'm going to color his ear first. I'm going to color it red. So I'm just going to trace it so I can make sure that I stay inside the lines, and I'm just going to color it with my oil pastel. And with oil pastels, you can push down just a little bit, give it some pressure, and if you do short strokes close together, it makes a nice solid color without a lot of your background showing through. So we don't want a lot of the background showing through. Right. I'm going to create a pattern on this when I'm done coloring that red. That's a pretty red because I want a pattern on this. I'm going to use green to create my pattern. Now you could make your pattern first, but then you'd have to color around every little shape, and I'm just saving a little time right now and not going to do that. Plus, when you color one oil pastel on the top of another, it kind of blends in and it can look really cool too. So I'm going to use green and make some green polka dots on my dog's ear. So I'm just making some big circles. You feel free to use whatever color and pattern you would like on your dog. I'm not sure if this looks green to you when you see it, but it's because it's blending with the red a little bit. It still looks cool though. And what I might do even is I might even add some light green on top of it. Light it up just a little bit. Yeah. There we go. Then, let's see, I'm going to do some blue or purple, I think purple. And I'm going to use some yellow. Those are opposite each other on the color wheel. So before I get started, I'm going to give him color in his eyebrow yellow. And then I'm going to color in his face purple. And again, you can use whatever colors you would like to color in your dog. All right. And then on this side, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to make him a purple eyebrow and color in his face yellow. Make him opposite on this side. I think I'll make his ear opposite too. Opposite the other ear. So I would color it green first. And you can clean off an oil pastel just by wiping it on some paper towel here. I had some red on there, so I want to get that off of there. There we go. Oh, that's pretty. I like greens. I like cool colors. Blues and greens and purples. And then I'm going to give him some red polka dots. Make sure it's cleaned. There we go. All right. Then his eye, I'm just going to give him some brown eyes, or maybe we'll give him some blue eyes. That would be pretty. We'll give him some blue eyes since he's an abstract dog. Today, we'll give him blue eyes. I am going to color his little pupil there black though, so it kind of stands out. Here we go. And then we have his neck, and I'm thinking some orange would look really good. So I'm going to use orange and blue because those are opposite each other, and I'm just going to make some stripes on here. So I'm going to color down here, stripe of orange, then next to that I'm going to do a stripe of blue. Every time I do this dog, I do him differently. Try to use different patterns, different colors. I like these oil pastels. They're nice and bright. I hope your dogs are looking nice and bright. Always send me a picture of your finished dog. I would love to see how creative you were with this project. There we go. Looks like he's got pajamas on. Orange and yellow, or orange and blue pajamas. All right, getting close to being finished. All right. So all I have left now is his nose and snout area. So we're going to make him have a, let's see, what color of nose should we give him? I believe we should give him, I have a violet color here. I think that would be really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a violet colored nose. Colored nose. I think I'll color in his nostrils a little darker, maybe with a darker purple so that they show up a little better there. There we go. We want those to be nice and dark. All right, now for his snout area. Let's see what color. I think we'll use some red orange there. I have some red orange, maybe some light green. And we're going to add some color in. I might make a little, you can make shapes, patterns inside here if you want. I'm just going to add some bits of color. So I'm just going to add some color in here. I'm just following the shape of his face and snout. Maybe add some green here. Let's see what he did. Yeah. We're gonna trace that, and I'm gonna make that edge green all the way, kind of highlight that, hide our pencil lines a little bit. So we're gonna do a little bit of blending here too. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper towel, and I'm just going to wrap it around my finger, and I'm going to wipe it on those little stripes I put in his nose. I'm just using a clean part of my paper towel for everyone, because I don't want the colors to blend together so much. See how it kind of smears a little bit? I think that's just a little, this is just one of the ways you can blend oil pastels together. There we go. And even on other parts, if you want to blend the little other parts of him, you can blend it with or smooth it there with the paper towel, and it'll make it fill in any spaces like the background if you have some white paper showing, and I'll just smooth it out. Another fun thing you can do is grab your toothpick, and see those where I colored the dots on top of the ears. There's 2 layers of oil pastel there. I'm going to go inside the dots and just scrape off a little bit of my oil pastel, and I'm creating a texture or design inside those spots. And what it's doing is it's scraping off the color I put on top and showing the color that I have underneath. And that's kind of cool. So you can do that with oil pastels also. Color one color on top of another, and then scrape some of that top color off, and it'll reveal the color underneath. Kind of like creating your own scratch art. I'm going to do that on the other ear too. Ooh, that one's really pretty. I like the green showing through. And that's one technique to add texture to oil pastels, is to scrape off. I think I'll scrape off a little bit in his eye just to add some texture there. That looks cool. Might even scrape off a little bit of black from his eye to create a little where the light might be shining in his eye just a little bit. All right, I might scrape off, actually, let me add a little bit of yellow underneath the eye on top of the purple. Just a little bit of color there. And then the purple on top of the yellow on the other side. And I'm going to scrape off in that area. Give it some texture. So I'm going to scrape off the yellow. On this side, I'm going to scrape off the purple. There. Just adding some texture to my dog. Might scrape off a little bit on his nose just for fun, give a little texture or light reflection there. All right, one other technique I'll show you is you can do some stippling, and I'm going to use black just like in my sample and show you how you can add some texture and stuff with oil pastel. And what it is I'm just going to make little dots by tapping my oil pastel, and this can be his little where his whiskers are, or it could just be adding some fun textures to it. I think that's fun. Yeah, that looks great. He's turning out quite the colorful abstract dog. I really like him. I really love adding the texture by scraping and blending some colors together. I think that looks really cool. So what I do when I'm done with my dog is I just take my black marker and I color in my background totally with black marker. And the reason I do that is so that my colors just show up really, really well. And you'll see the difference between the white background and when I make it black, my colors will just really stand out really nicely. So I'm going to go through here and just color all this in. Being careful to make sure I don't have white paper showing through. I want to make sure that I color all my paper. When you're coloring with marker too, another trick is to not push very hard. You'll have much better ink come out of your marker than if you push really hard with your marker. It's hard on the tips when you push down really hard. Sometimes to avoid getting marker inside my dog, I'll trace along the edge here. Then I'll color right down to that line that I just created. And that way I know where to stop easier and I don't get marker inside my dog. And I'm going to turn the paper around now so it's easier for me to reach instead of reaching across my dog. So I'm going to color upside down. Oh, much better. This is a great little trick. If you're coloring, just turn your paper around rather than trying to reach across. Couple Sharpies here. I think this one might be getting kind of dry. Let's see. I try to color in the same direction with using markers. It just looks a little nicer that way. Just a little tip. Oh, that's looking so good. Now, if you wanted to create a different background, if you wanted to put another solid color in your background, I just recommend black because I think it looks so good and makes your colors really stand out. But you can be creative and try some different other colors for your background if you like. All right, almost finished with this fun project. Alrighty, there, that looks so great. Look at how the colors just kind of pop now from my dog. So that's a fun abstract dog. I hope you had fun with that project. I would love to see what you created. So you can go ahead and snap a picture and email it to me. That would be awesome. So thank you for joining me today.